Okay, in this video, we are going to go ahead and create our hosting account. So the hosting account is where all the files related to your website are going to live. So in the previous video, we registered our domain name, and our domain name is actually our address. So that is what people type into their browser to find the website. So once they type that into their browser, it needs to point to some repository where your files are going to exist, all the files that make up your site. And that's what our hosting account does. There's another step in there where we're going to do some settings to forward to make that connection, because we need to have the connection between the domain name and the hosting account. So don't worry about that right now. We're just going to go in here. And the hosting company that I recommend for most people starting out is called Bluehost. If you ask for suggestions and recommendations on hosting companies, you are going to get as many different recommendations and as many different warnings against certain companies as you can possibly imagine. I can just only go about based on my experience. My experience has been I've had good luck with Bluehost. Easy for me to say. On the key things are customer service. I think that has to be number one. Their customer service, as far as I'm concerned, has been excellent, and I've got about 18 websites right now hosted with Bluehost. The other thing is their uptime, which means how often your site is actually available on the web, because sometimes there are some hosting companies that have a problem with that. And also security. And I will tell you the truth, I take the security very seriously. So my team and I manage our own security, but for the most part, I think Bluehost is very good, and they manage that as well. So bottom line, number one, customer service and their on time or their uptime, kind of the main things that I go by. Plus the price is pretty darn good. So you see right here, I've gone to Bluehost, and it starts right out here, the best web hosting starting at, and they now have $345 a month. They have promotions and specials quite often, so keep your eye out to take advantage of those. I will tell you the $7.99 is kind of where they typically talk that they're going to start at, but based on the length of time that you register or you host your site with them, the price goes down on a monthly basis. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to click the green Get Started Now, and we're going to take a look at the different hosting packages that they have and talk about these very briefly. So this is where, first of all, I would not get too hung up on this. One of the things that I always say is all these companies do try and upsell you into a whole bunch of different services and the different add-ons. You can always add these things on later. So especially if you're in a rush and you just want to get this done, don't overanalyze this, and don't over purchase, because sometimes that's what happens is you end up getting a lot of stuff that maybe you're not going to need down the line. So at the very basic, if you are just starting out and you know you're only going to have one website on this hosting account, you can start with this basic package. You see there are a few limitations, 5 email accounts. So if you had a team where you had 10 people and you needed email accounts for all those 10 people, that might not work for you. Again, for a lot of people, this is plenty. The Plus package, and you can see right here, they've got a lot of deals going on because this one's pretty darn cheap. Unlimited websites. So for example, I actually have an even bigger package than this, where I can have unlimited websites, which is why I have 18 websites on one hosting account. But let's just talk about, for the vast majority of people, the basic is going to be what you want. Again, If you go down the line and you suddenly decide, I'm going to build another website, you can always upgrade. That there's never a problem. So we're going to start with the basic, and I'm just going to click select. And the first thing it's going to ask me now is, do I want to register a new domain? So in the previous video where I talked about using GoDaddy as my domain registrar and using a different company for hosting, see, Bluehost can also register your domain. They act as an agent for an approved domain registrar. So you could do it, and it's bundled into your account. As I mentioned in the other video, the main reason I like to keep them separate is if down the line for any reason I wanted to move my hosting account, it is much easier to do it if the domain is registered somewhere else. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but just trust me, it's faster and easier. So because I host all my, register all my domains with GoDaddy, if for any reason I wanted to move my sites to another hosting company, beyond physically having to move the files, I would make those changes in GoDaddy and it would take effect relatively quickly. If I'm registered my domain with Bluehost, I have to transfer my domain and then set up new hosting. So it just takes longer, trust me. So I'm going to say, which I do, I have another domain name that I want to I want to set up a hosting account. So it's the Pilates Geek, because I am a Pilates geek. And I'm going to click next. And so now they're going to ask us for all the information regarding what we want to do to create our account. So it's all standard: first name, last name, business name, address, phone number, email address. Email address really important because this is going to be the means they're going to communicate with you if there's any issues with your website. So you really want to make sure you've got an email address you're going to have for a long time. Again, now we have our package information, and remember we went for the basic. So these are the standard prices, and you can see that the per month price goes down for the length of time. So if you only wanted to have your hosting account or you only wanted to pay for a year at a time, it comes out to $5.95 per month. So if I chose that one, you see right here, my hosting cost is going to be $71.40 for a year. Prices go down based on the length of the term. So you can choose whatever works best for your budget. Now, they always, everybody upsells. And it's not a bad thing. These could be things that if you choose not to handle, this may very well work for you. I don't do these things because in general, I manage my websites myself. So Site Backup Pro is an additional $2.99 a month. I have backup plugins that I install in my sites, and there are good free ones. I use a premium one. I wouldn't purchase that. Search Engine Jumpstart, $2.99 a month. Again, a lot of the things that I do in terms of my training, I teach you how to do this kind of stuff. For another $2.99 a month, I would pass on that. SiteLock Security, if you are not going to be able to manage the security on your site, or you can pay a reasonable amount to a company like mine to manage it for you, along with a number of other services, maybe the $1.99 a month is worthwhile. But I'm going to go based on what I would do, and I would not choose any of these things because I manage all this stuff myself. You enter your credit card number and your expiration date and your 3-digit code, confirm that you've read and agreed to terms of service, and click submit. And that's all there is to it, really. So hang on one sec, because then I'm going to show you what the next step is. It's very important as well. Now, after we've gone through that purchase process, it's going to ask you to create a username and password, and it does require a very secure password. Please don't skip that part. I mean, first of all, I shouldn't say skip it, because they won't let you skip it. You will have to create a secure password, because they score whether you have an uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and punctuation in your password. So, use a password keeper like LastPass or something, but you'll have to create your username and password, and then you'll get an email confirmation. This is extremely important. Save this email. It has your username. It does not have your password, so you'll need to have saved that someplace else. And you're going to have some extremely important information that we're going to need very soon, which is your name server information. So after you make your purchase through Bluehost, look for this confirmation email that says welcome to Bluehost. That will confirm your domain name, your username, a temporary URL, which is important as well, and your name server information. So now that you have your account set up and your username and password, I'm going to just give you a really short tour of what is called the cPanel of your Bluehost account. So when you go to Bluehost now, you're going to click the login button, and it will ask you to enter your domain or your username and password. You can see mine defaulted because I used LastPass, and fortunately for me, it goes ahead and fills out that information, so I don't have to remember the password. So I'm going to click submit, and I'm going to go and log into my account. And here we are in our back end of the hosting account. So you can see everything related to our hosting account is broken into some relatively easy sections that are easy to navigate, to find. In an upcoming video, I'm going to show you how to use this install WordPress button. But here is where you would create your email accounts. You could check your webmail. If you had registered your domain, again, I don't recommend it, but if you did, you could manage your domains here. Overall, I happen to think that they have a very clean and easy to use navigation. So that's, again, we've gone ahead and you've created your hosting account, and the next step is we are going to make sure that our domain name at GoDaddy points to our new hosting account for our domain name. So stick with me, and in our next